Hello, everyone. Happy to have you all here with us today. It is March 10th, 2020, also known as Mario Day because MAR10 looks like the word Mario. So fun, not really a fact. I think it would be stretching to call that a fact, but excited to have you all here with us and excited to dive in. Session 5 is, I think, one of the really good ones. A lot of interesting stuff to talk about. It's so important, right? It's all about messaging, which is, the crux of really all these ads is we got to be able to frame our messages right. And so what we've done, well, I guess first off, let me say that I have the incomparable Molly Pittman here with me as always. How are you doing today, Molly?
Hey guys, doing great. My voice is better, so thanks for watching the recording on Thursday. That wouldn't have gone very well. So yeah, my voice is better, and I'm excited to dive into questions. I know that we've got a lot, which we love. Thank you guys for being so active and participating in the way that you do. So we'll get through as many as we can today, as always, and then tomorrow I have a few hours blocked off to get caught up. And I know I owe some of you guys video too, which was a little bit hard when my voice went out. So anyways, excited to, yeah, see what you guys are chatting about, get you some help, answer your questions, look through your stuff. And then tomorrow I'll also be playing catch up. So don't panic if we don't get to yours on this call. But thank you guys so much for being here.
Absolutely. Awesome. And yeah, you've got lots of time carved out tomorrow, so we'll get through all of it, but we can just go ahead and dive in. And so we're looking at stuff kind of in the order it came in. So if you put in a new post today, someone was like, oh, it'd be good if we sort of started and went chronologically. We're trying to do our best to make that happen. So we're
Yeah, so
looking at
thanks
this
for
one
the
from,
feedback, and
hey,
we're happy to help. Or happy to take feedback,
yeah,
and yeah, it makes sense to start with the older questions, so no problem at all.
so Lukia, I think is how you would say that, was saying he's feeling a bit overwhelmed and is wondering where to start. Should I wait for the next lesson about Facebook ads, or should I start building an offer page for our best-selling product?
I
So
think that,
I
hey
will
John,
offer my two cents, Molly, and then oh,
I think we might have already covered this one actually. I think that he had a more updated post in last week that we went deeper in there. So not to cut you
oh,
off on that
perfect.
one, but I'm pretty sure that we cleared this up. If we didn't, let us know, but I think that's a bit of an older one there.
Okay, no worries. All right, well, next one then.
All right. So Jamie said, hey guys, hopefully a pretty simple question. What's up, Jamie? What would be the benefit of setting up new ads when testing with copy variations rather than having one ad and putting a few different variations? Okay, this is the one we asked for more clarification on. He said, I was referring to at the ad level, you can add different variations, copy, headlines, image with one ad. Okay, so what you're talking about is dynamic creatives or DCO. So why would you create different ads when you can actually put those different variations into one ad? I don't know if I'm making it sound weird. No, I totally get what you're saying. And the reason that I think dynamic creative can be okay to use if you are in true testing phase. And I'll talk more about this during week 7 when we put all of these assets together that we're building right now. Last week we talked about copy. This Thursday we'll talk about creative. Then next week we'll put all of this together, which will, I think, help make a lot more sense too for those of you that feel a little bit confused, because keep in mind that your marketing assets, the offer, the copy, the creative, that is what is going to allow you to win. It's not all the button pressing inside of Facebook. So if we can really spend these first few weeks getting very clear on our marketing messages and going super deep there, I don't care if you're a beginner or if you're spending tens of $1,000s a day. This is what it always goes back to every single time. When we're trying to optimize or build a new campaign, it really goes back to building these assets to the best of our ability and what we're covering in these first 7 weeks. So we'll talk more about when I use dynamic creative and when I don't, Jamie, during week 7. But the answer is I really don't use it that often. And the reason for that is that, yes, it's cool to have the functionality to be able to test all of these different variations. But the first thing is that the way that I teach you guys to build these campaigns, most of the creative and copy are very specific to one another because we're going deep into storytelling. We're getting really specific, right? And so it usually doesn't make sense for you to even be able to upload 10 different headlines and 5 different creatives and 5 different copy variations and test them against one another because they wouldn't even make sense together, right? Some of you that might be the case, but most of you that won't be the case. So that's the first reason, right? The second is that with DCO, unfortunately, you're not able to aggregate social proof as well as you can when you're not using dynamic creative. So when you're using dynamic creative, you're not able to pull that post ID out of, you're not able to use the post ID of the existing ads in ads moving forward, which won't allow you to aggregate all of that social proof that you need to aggregate. So I think dynamic creative is cool, especially if you were just testing and for some reason you have a bunch of headlines and copy and creative variations that work across the board. But I definitely don't recommend it if you're trying to scale or do anything really sustainable because of the fact that you're not able to aggregate that social proof, and it makes it really tough to rank well in the engagement rate box when it comes to the algorithm. So hopefully that makes sense, Jamie, and thank you for clarifying. That's a great question.
Awesome. All right, well, thanks so much, Jamie. And the next one is, let's see, all about scaling an offer, I believe.
All right. Hey, John, I'm not seeing anything new on your screen.
This one from Intro.
No, your screen is frozen for me on Jamie's question.
Well, that's odd. Well, I will start reading this one to you.
No worries. Hold on. Let me.
And when it refreshes.
Here, I'm going to make this screen a little bit bigger and see if that refreshes it for some reason. Huh. It is not. You gotta love technology. Okay, yeah, read it to me, John.
Okay, so Introl says that they sell 4 hair treatments and each target a specific issue. The bundles are designed to work together for optimal results. What pricing structure do you think is the best from a marketing standpoint? So they could do a bundle where they do 1 product for $39, 2 for $78, and 4 for $99.
Mm-hmm.
They could do a pricing structure where they do $39 for 1, $69 for 2, and $120 for all 4. And then the third option is $39 for 1, $70 for 2, and $99 for all 4 of them.
So I think that it depends. I love that you're thinking bundles for what you're doing, because especially with something like hair care, people love to buy into a system, like you want the whole system. You want the shampoo, the conditioner, the hair mask. You want to know that you're doing everything in the right order to achieve, the best hair or solve whatever hair problem you have, So especially something like this lends itself very well to bundles. And I would think of them more like systems because that's really what people are buying into. When it comes to the price points, honestly, you could test all of those. I don't think they were that different that they're going to make a huge difference. The third one really resonated with me and felt like the best price structure when it comes to cold acquisition, because it wasn't super cheap, but it was high enough to where you'll definitely be able to break even and probably even have a little bit of profit on that first interaction and acquisition of a customer, which is really exciting because, of course, this business really lends itself to repeat purchases. So you could test them all. My gut says number 3, but just make sure when you are positioning these bundles that people really understand the difference between them, right? It shouldn't just be a pricing difference. It should be them buying into, either a different type of system, like this one's for damaged hair, or this system is for curly hair. I have curly hair, so most of the hair products that I buy are around, curly hair and really taking care of curly hair. So, either categorize it that way or create your bundles in a sense that there's like a level 1, level 2, and then level 3 is like the big bundle where you get everything. But I think you're definitely on the right track here, and excited to see how those do.
Awesome. And then I tried something that hopefully fixed the screen. If
I
not,
can
I'll
see
just
it
keep
now,
on reading.
John.
But I wanted to ask you the. Oh, perfect. Sweet. So then I also saw
I
that
think there just
after
might be
running
a
my
little
test
bit of a
campaign for a week.
delay.
Oh, go ahead.
I think
Yeah.
there just might be a little bit of a delay. Okay, so I can see this here. I'm fine to keep reading it. So do you think I should make a sales page for each product option, or just for my bundles, or just the Sublime? Um, so I think it kind of depends. If you're going to have these three different bundles and they're all kind of fixing the same problem, or they're all for the same avatar, then the same sales page makes sense because you're hitting all the same pain, benefit, et cetera, and then you're just offering them three different pricing options, basically. If they're going to be for very different avatars, which I said that, or you might have said in here that that was going to be the case, I think you might need different sales pages for each, like one for curly hair and one for damaged hair and one for straight hair, however you decide to split that out, just because they're going to be speaking to such a different person. And then within each of those categories, you could have, 2 to 3 bundles that you offer. So a few ways to do it depending on which of those options you align with. But I think if you're solving very different problems, you're going to need different sales pages. Where, for example, with the 5 makeup tips pre-sale article that Ezra uses that promotes the trio, you'll notice that on that sales page, there are 3 different options, but he's selling the same product and the messaging is the same throughout the entire article, right? He's not trying to speak to women 20 to 30, then women 30 to 40, and then women over the age of 50, and which you might be trying to do with curly hair, damaged hair, straight hair, etc. So hopefully that makes sense. And then you said, after running my test campaign for a week, I'm happy and ready to scale. Awesome. Am I now going after the warm audience and changing objective, or am I increasing budget for both? Hope that last question made sense. And if you're planning on explaining this in a later training, that's cool too, because I'm still getting my sales page together, just trying to grasp all the steps. No problem at all, and you're very welcome. So if it sounds like you're running a test campaign to cold traffic and it's working and you want to scale it. So scale is going to come through increasing the budget on that campaign, which I talked a lot about during these Q&A calls on Tuesdays, and we'll have a whole module about scale, which is always a favorite. That's an exciting topic. When something works, let's do more with it. So if you do have a cold traffic campaign that's working, feel free to increase the budget about 50% every 3 to 7 days, depending on how aggressive you want to be. And you should also start thinking about new audiences that you can horizontally scale out to. So you know that these ads and this particular offer that you're running traffic to is working. To the audiences that you're currently targeting, what are other interests and lookalikes and cold traffic audiences that we could add into the mix, either in new ad sets if you're using ABO, or completely new campaigns if you're using CBO, just to get those ads that are working out to more people, which is usually the most effective form of scaling. Adding in retargeting, that's not really scaling in my opinion, but it is like scaling your traffic system, because if you are driving cold traffic right now, of course, starting to retarget is a complete no-brainer, because there are a lot of people that showed interest but just weren't ready to convert. But your retargeting campaigns are going to look a little bit different. We'll have a whole module on retargeting, but if you remember back to week 3, I recommend using CBO. I usually only recommend 1 ad set. And you could start with something simple, like just 1 campaign retargeting everybody who's visited in the last 30 days but hasn't purchased. And maybe you give them a 10% off discount coupon. Maybe you have a few ads with some really strong testimonials. They go a bit deeper than you even would to cold traffic. And even just starting with that 1 campaign will pick up a lot of low-hanging fruit for you there, and people that just weren't ready to convert and needed to see your brand a few more times, or overcome some barrier to barrier to purchase, whatever those might be for your products. They're usually your most frequently asked questions. So I would definitely try to get a retargeting campaign up as soon as possible, even before we get to that module, just because time is of the essence if you're already scaling to cold traffic. So really, really excited for you. And I think that is it. Thank you for the amount of detail. And I'm excited to see how those sales pages turn how those sales pages turn out, feel free to keep us in the loop. And especially if you want to give me more context around sort of, are there different avatars? What exactly do these bundles look like? Because if I have more information, I can definitely give you more specific direction when it comes to the sales page stuff. So thank you for submitting that. And I think we're ready for the next one, John. I can still see your screen, so life is good.
That's perfect. So we actually had one come in through the question box that I thought would be quick and easy. Jason
Awesome.
was saying that they completed the avatar sheets and it, was super helpful. And now they
Yay.
found some audience interests that work, which is great. So he's wondering if
Fantastic.
you've got audience interests that are performing, is it better to leave the winning ad sets in the ABO test campaign and scale that? Or
Yeah.
is it better to put those winning ad sets into a new CBO campaign?
So if it's working in the test campaign, scale it in that test campaign. Of course, you're just going to be increasing the budgets at the ad set instead of the campaign level, which is totally fine. Still use those same parameters that I recommend, 50% bump every 3 to 7 days. It's just the difference with this is that as you want to horizontally scale out to new audiences, you have two options. You can either create new ad sets in that campaign that you're already running because it's ABO, so adding new ad sets doesn't throw off the optimization because the optimization is happening at the ad set level. Or you could just keep scaling this ABO campaign, this test campaign that you have running, and then start to build CBO campaigns with those new audiences that you want to target, and even just using the same ads that are working in your test campaign. So you really have both options. Either are fine. Since Facebook is threatening that they're going to be switching all of us over to CBO very soon, it still hasn't happened in most of my accounts, even though they said this was happening 3 weeks ago. You might want to start to build CBO campaigns just in case, maybe these will last for months. So you might want to start to switch towards CBO instead of scaling in that ABO campaign, but I still don't see a problem with it. I don't think it's not like when they force everyone over to CBO that those campaigns that are active are being switched over. At least that's not what I'm seeing inside of my account. So you got options, and congratulations. I'm so excited that that's working. And I love that the audiences were really key for you because you guys know how important that is. I don't need to beat a dead horse there. So great question, whoever asked that in the questions box, and thanks for being here. Okay, so next up is
Perfect.
Natalie.
All
Hi,
right, we got our
Natalie.
next one, Natalie.
Whenever I see you in the group, I think of Natalie Wood for some reason, like your picture and your name. That's what pops up. So random fun fact about how what I'm thinking about. So Natalie said, I write a blog, awesome, for our website, and I was wondering whether there is a way that I can get people to read it through ads. Are people interested in blogs anymore, or how about we advertise our articles? Okay, so awesome that you have a blog. I definitely still think that blogging and SEO and really going, like, if you have the resources and the time to consistently and strategically publish to a blog, there is still room for organic traffic out there. I mean, that's a big project. John and I actually have some exciting news that we'll be sharing more about in the coming week, but we're going to be working a lot more closely in Smart Marketer, which is exciting, not just on Train My Traffic Person and team traffic, but everything that Smart Marketer is, which we're so pumped about. But one of the first projects that John and I felt were really important for Smart Marketer is to get the SEO worked out. And, I still feel that, I don't think it's more important than paid traffic in any way, because paid traffic we have so much more control over than SEO or organic. But I still think there's room there for you to definitely receive some organic traffic, Natalie, if you do blogging the right way. Now, a cool combination here, and this is something, John, you and I did a lot at Digital Marketer, is that, of course, if you're blogging, you're really building these articles to play well with SEO. But if you're willing to spend some ad budget to also drive some paid traffic from platforms like Facebook and Instagram, that can really help with your SEO too, because Google sees, all of this extra traffic's coming in, and they assume that it means that people really like this piece of content because it's getting a lot of engagement. So for example, John, I can't remember what day of the week, I think on Thursdays, every Thursday a blog post was published to the Digital Marketer blog. And then that day and for the next week, I would run a campaign just like we would set aside a few $100. We weren't measuring this by anything other than just, how many people clicked over to the blog. This obviously wasn't a sales play, but we would run a campaign for a week to cold audiences and some warm audiences just to circulate this article and to get some eyeballs on there. And of course, it's great because then you pixel those people, right? You're able to retarget them because they're on your blog post. They might click over and buy your product or show some interest in what you're doing. So, Natalie, if this is something that you are already doing and you enjoy it and you are actively blogging, or you should and you have the budget for it, there's no reason to even not set aside $20 a week or something like that to set up a campaign to get some more eyeballs on that blog post. And usually when I do that, I use the traffic objective and I optimize for landing page views, because I want people that are going to click over, but I also want people who are actually going to load the page and hopefully at least scroll down a little bit. So that's the objective that I'm always using in those scenarios. And yeah, hopefully that answered your question. Are people interested in blogs anymore? Absolutely. The thing is, if you are solving a problem or if you are giving information that someone wants, the medium is kind of irrelevant in terms of people are willing to read, they're willing to watch to get that question answered or to get that piece of information. So, Ezra uses 5 makeup tips, which is more of a pre-sale article, which means that it's not built for SEO. It's not built to get a bunch of organic search traffic through Google and Bing and different search engines. It's built to be used for paid traffic as a selling mechanism, but it's still a similar format to a blog post, right? And even that proves that even with an older market, people are definitely still wanting information if they feel that it pertains to them and it's going to help, with their before to after experience that they're having in their life, like you guys learned about on Thursday. And if they're interested, they'll definitely read. So Natalie, let me know if there's anything I didn't touch on here that you were looking for, but that's definitely something I would use as an asset in my traffic system. And it's a great way to first introduce your brand to cold traffic and get them interested in you.
Awesome, great answer. Okay, this next one is about guidance around budgeting from Deanna.
Awesome. Hey, Deanna. Alrighty, so I have a question about an e-com brand. Excuse me, my throat's. All right, much better there. I have a question about an e-com brand that wants to sell their coffee online. Okay, awesome. I know we got a few people selling coffee in the group. That's always a popular business type. Love it. They already have a Shopify store set up. Landing page will need some work to include all aspects in Ezra's funnel training. Awesome, glad you found that valuable. But haven't done any social paid advertising. All sales have been through physical events, which is cool. You have proof of concept actually in person chatting with people, which probably means that, during the targeting and especially the copy training, you probably didn't have any issues because you guys, or at least these people, have physically in person sold this item, which always gives you such good information about who these people are and what they're actually looking for and what their objections are, which can be really hard online. So that's exciting. The coffee sells at $15 a bag, and all proceeds go towards a nonprofit. That's amazing. The product has a great story behind it, which makes it stand apart from your standard bag of coffee. What would you recommend to be a good starting point for a daily monthly budget? They're looking to sell 2,000 bags within about 3 months. Is that too aggressive of a time frame? I'm interested in your thoughts. So Diana, great question. Number one, that's absolutely not too aggressive. That's something that we can do through taking the steps, that you're learning through Train My Traffic Person. The way that I like to think about budget when we don't have to have proof of concept yet is this way. I think that you guys should first establish a test budget. So a budget that you are willing to set aside to test all of these marketing assets that you've been building over these weeks, or that you might be building in the coming weeks, the offer, the copy, the creative, et cetera, et cetera. So, before we commit to a daily or monthly budget, that's really hard to do when we don't even know, what our cost per acquisition of a customer is going to be from Facebook, or if we've never even been able to generate, a few sales through paid advertising. So if I were you, I would try to negotiate with them somewhere between like a $2,000 to $5,000 test budget if possible. Of course, you don't have to spend the whole thing if you aren't generating sales, but that should be plenty of money to figure out, what's working from an offer standpoint. Is your site converting? Is the copy interesting, right? Are people engaging with the creative? Is the targeting on or off? That will give us plenty of data to figure out what is going to work and what's not going to work. So I think that's the first thing you should focus on. And then once we have proof of concept, and once you've generated, let's say 10 sales or more, then we could look at the numbers and start to say, okay, based off of who I'm targeting right now and how much, this is a gross analogy, but meat I feel is left on the bone here in terms of just the audience that I'm targeting right now. What would be an appropriate daily or monthly budget for us to negotiate with this client? So I'm excited for you, and hopefully that's helpful. I would just first go with that test budget because you're trying to get proof of concept. And look, there is room for so many people in this market. Coffee is something that most humans consume multiple times a day. And what I have noticed in this market is it's just important to really know your avatar, right? So we've got Carl here in the group who has Uncupped, and I don't know if you saw him, but Diana, but he has the travel pouches that you just pour over. And so we've got the hook of, the dirty coffee maker, and, we're able to speak to an avatar of people that are traveling. Our good friend Charles has a coffee company that comes with a devotional in it in the bag, and it's specifically for Christians. So that's a completely different market, but still selling coffee. And it's a reason that he's been able to scale that business. So I would just really think about that. And since you have met with these people in person and you kind of know who you're selling to, that shouldn't be a problem. But I think that's going to be really important when it comes to paid advertising, selling this particular product, is just making sure that people know that this coffee is for them, and this isn't some random generic coffee that they're going to get at the grocery store. So I'm excited for you guys, and keep us in the loop.
Nice. And then Diana, I think I said it weird the first time, is in the questions, and she just said, how long should the test run? I'm thinking that probably depends on how many ad sets she's got. What do you think?
Well, it also depends on, how quickly we get proof of concept, or if we don't, But normally, anytime I'm running a test campaign, I try to run it for at least 5 days. If I'm on a super, super, super small budget, sometimes I might only run it 3 days, but I try to run at least 5 days. If I can run it for 7 days, even better, because that allows Facebook to generate more data, and you seem to get you're not getting that false positive or false negative. So I would run for at least that long. But after day 3, you might be like, Molly, we're crushing it. I've already sold 30 bags. What are we going to do? Like, how should we move forward? So I guess what I'm saying is the discussion about the daily or monthly budget could come sooner or later, depending on how quickly we get proof of concept, or it might take a few tests. Guys, sometimes it takes multiple times testing and figuring out why something isn't working, and creating, a new variation of that asset to try to overcome whatever we've identified as the weak point or weak points of that campaign. And sometimes you launch a campaign and it just rocks and rolls right out of the gate. And for me, I never know what I'm going to get, and I'm happy in both scenarios, but that will definitely change the amount of time that this whole testing thing takes you guys, if that makes sense, Sean.
Yeah, that's great. I really think that the thing that sets good media buyers apart from, or I should say great media buyers apart from good media buyers, is the ability to go in and troubleshoot when it's not working right out of the gate. And I know that's something you talk about and have touched on a little bit in all these, but there's a whole module dedicated to that. I think the 8th session we do. So it's such a
It's what
such
to
a
do
useful
when
skill,
shit
and being
isn't
willing
working.
to test it before. Yeah,
Sorry to cut you off. That's
couldn't
basically what that
get better
module is,
than
and
that.
it's
No,
usually it's a helpful one because I mean, guys, still to this day, a lot of what I initially launched doesn't work, and my job is to be a detective, figure out why it didn't work, and then go back through the process to create new assets based off of my findings, and then most likely that next variation is going to work a little bit better, and I keep doing that until I get to a place where I need to be. But sometimes for example, I'm working on a docuseries right now. It's a brand new docuseries called The Keto Woman. And I do have experience in this market before, but I was a little worried just because it's about a diet and health and like policy. The last time I worked with these guys on something keto, we went through like 9 ad accounts. And John, you remember that. That was like a crazy month for me.
Mm.
And I mean, it took so long to get proof of concept. And it ended up working. And it was hilarious because this time, I launched these ads last week, and the offer is just so good. Like people really want this docuseries. It's for a very specific market, women. It's about a hot topic, and right out of the gate, it's working super well. And I haven't had to do as much. I'm just starting to scale. So even with like the same client, sometimes for me it can be, all right, I had to take 15 shots to get where I needed to be on this one, or oh my goodness, it worked right out of the gate this time. Hallelujah. You know, Facebook gods, please don't shut me down. All right, what's
Awesome. And
next?
then just on that thought of testing, let me ask this question from Josie. She said, do you have a way to test things when you don't have a conversion attached to it? So if you have an idea,
Good
you
question.
want to move into this market, you think this would be a good audience, what do you do?
Yeah, you would just have to pick the next most relevant success metric. So for me, you know,
Hmm.
if I don't have a purchase, then obviously I can't measure return on ad spend or cost per acquisition. The next would be a lead, right? But a lot of us don't have that either. So then from there, I'm looking at metrics like cost per click, usually like cost per link click to the site, if you're sending traffic to the site, or click through rate. And I'll share benchmarks with you. And Josie is awesome. She's been through TMTP a few times now, and she's an awesome student. So I know you've got those benchmarks, Josie, for those different numbers from the optimization module. Just use those as your success metric if you don't have an actual conversion to measure. And great question,
Perfect.
because
Okay, next up is from
we talk about
Susan.
that. Oh, sorry.
Hmm.
No, I just said we
No, go
talk
ahead.
about that a lot when we don't have, you know, if we're doing something that doesn't have a purchase or lead conversion, you know, it's like, what's good here? And sometimes that just means this is something we're just willing to commit this budget to and spend. But even if we're doing that, we still like to look at, you know, some metric to say, is this good or bad? So yeah, usually cost per unique link click and unique link click through rate is what we're looking at if we have that. All right, Susan is up next. How you doing, Susan? She said, we have multiple avatars for our product-centric business. Awesome. If I'm doing a testing campaign for Frankie Fit Girl, because you said each avatar should have a separate campaign, right? Yes, please. When it comes to the ads, do we need a few different ads for one offer, like one with a border, one without, or can I have different offers, like 3 ads each with a different offer? Okay, so we'll talk more about the creative stuff on this Thursday's training. That'll be live. I don't recommend testing things like a border or without a border. It just usually doesn't create that much of a conversion lift. I like to test things like video versus image, or like drastically different video from very short video. I'll show you guys what the initial things that I like to test on Thursday, but I would not test multiple offers ever in a Facebook campaign. So any Facebook campaign that you guys build, you want to make sure that all of the ads in that campaign are sending traffic to the same URL and optimizing for the same objective, right? Or optimization goal, everything that you're selecting. So, I would never want to have inside of each ad set, one ad pushing to one product, another pushing to another, and another pushing to a third product. And excuse me, the reason is that it's highly, highly confusing for Facebook because they're trying to look at this post-click and measure this post-click activity, but they can't because all of those user experiences are so different and they look so different. And so therefore it's very confusing to Facebook, and they usually don't quite know how to optimize that campaign. So you do want to split out campaigns into avatars. So say we have this campaign for Frankie Fit Girl, but you would only want to send traffic to one product in that particular campaign. And I honestly don't recommend testing multiple products at a time. I would focus on one. And right now, let's focus on more testing your audiences, testing your copy, testing your creative, which is the way that I teach you guys to build campaigns. And if for some reason, after the optimization module, we feel like it's just your offer that they don't like, and your copy and your creative and your targeting is right on, but for some reason these people aren't just converting, then we can move on to test another product. But in this particular campaign for Frankie Fit Girl, I would pick just one product as your call to action, and then that campaign is built around testing, targeting, creative, and copy. And I'll show you exactly what these are going to look like during week 7 when we launch. Right now, I want to make sure you guys are really focusing on the targeting, the copy, the creative, because if those assets suck, it doesn't matter how great our campaign structure is, it's not going to work. So yep, great question, and hopefully that helps. All right, so up next is Taban. I think I'm saying his name correctly. John, can you hear me?
I sure can, yes.
Okay,
Coming
cool.
through loud and clear.
Okay, for some reason I thought I lost you guys. I was like, oh no. Sometimes I wonder if this shut down, I would probably keep talking for 10 minutes and have no idea you guys were gone. That's a fear of mine. So, okay, I have a client who I'm gonna start a campaign for this week. Awesome. He's a mindset financial coach. The goal of this campaign is to sell a $30 product. This might sound cheap, but in this country, it's kind of expensive. It's like selling a $500 product. Awesome, thanks for that context. Some facts before we continue. The sale will be made through a phone call at the end of the funnel. Awesome. And the reason is because people there don't trust online transactions. So that's great to know that about the market. I love that you have this solution. The idea is to have a lead magnet that people can download. Then at the end of the PDF, they will be asked to go to a website if they want to watch a video where they are going to learn a bit more, and then the CTA is the video landing pages for booking the calls. So my questions are, and I love this strategy, like this campaign sounds awesome for what you're trying to do. What objectives should I use for cold traffic, knowing that the goal is to opt into the PDF? So start with conversions at the beginning and optimize for leads, or just create a custom conversion on that page that they hit directly after they opt in. So that's definitely what I would do, because the purpose of that campaign as the first step of this traffic system is to generate leads. Even though, of course, we want sales later down the road, this initial campaign is for leads. So I would definitely use the conversion objective. Molly said she doesn't like to turn ads off, but add new ones instead. I get that's what you were doing CBO after the testing phase, but what about when you are in the testing phase? Keep in mind, I'm not doing CBO just yet. So if you are using ABO and you're more in the testing phase and it's been a week, then it is okay to go in and turn ads off that aren't your highest performers. I still don't do it a lot, because even with ABO, what you'll see is Facebook will come back around after the ads that are winning right now, I have air quotes there, after they fatigue, Facebook will actually come around and use those other ads. And you usually see that the volume of results goes up, and the return on ad spend of that particular ad goes up, and people go back and they're like, whoa, this ended up performing a lot better than I thought. I wish I wouldn't have turned it off. So I still don't recommend turning them off unless for some reason you just feel you really need to. Like the other day, a client was freaking out about a typo and I wasn't able to get it fixed, so I just turned the ad off. It was in testing phase, and that was okay, right? It didn't crush the campaign, but if at all possible, try to keep them on. If you are using ABO and you want to turn them off, though, feel free. I have 3 avatars with 5 ad sets each. Awesome. I'm going to start testing all of them next week. What should be the next step after 7 days of testing? So the next step would be to shoot me a video in here or screenshots showing me the results, and I can give you specific steps on what to do next. I mean, the goal is hopefully everything works and we immediately go into scaling, and reference the question that I answered before about how do I scale if my campaign's an ABO. I don't know who that was from, John. I think it was a lady. I can't remember exactly. Oh no, it was someone that asked in the questions box here earlier. So definitely rewind and go back through that if you didn't hear that, because that's exactly what I would do. But if nothing hits your success metrics, right, and it's not working, then we might need to not start from scratch, but figure out why it didn't work and build new test campaigns. So just let me know the results, and also keep in mind with what you're doing, the first metric you really want to start measuring is cost per lead, because especially when you bring in someone on the phone, there's just going to be a longer sales cycle because maybe they don't answer, maybe they miss an appointment, maybe they don't call back for 3 days. So you're just going to need to keep in mind that this has a longer tail on it. It has a longer sales cycle than, for example, if I was going lead magnet direct to purchase. And I just want you to keep that in mind. And I think right off the bat, starting to measure cost per lead is good to look at. And then at least after you've been running the ads for a week, I would give it at least another week before you start making decisions about is this working or not from a revenue standpoint, because that will at least give the people on the phone time to start to close people. So just keep that in mind. Since there are 15 ads in total, should I create 15 different CBO campaigns so they have the chance to spend equally? Okay, so what I would do if I were you is launch 3 campaigns, 1 campaign for each avatar, and then just keep those relevant ad sets within those campaigns. So obviously the avatars are going to have very different targeting because they're different people. So that's the way that I would separate your ad sets out. So you would have 3 campaigns, 3 avatars. Okay, so you would have 3 campaigns, 5 ad sets in each campaign. I don't think that you need 15 ads. I'll talk more about this in the next 1 to 2 weeks, but that is generally way too many, especially when you're in the testing phase. Think of it like it's jamming up Facebook's algorithm is the best way that I can describe it. Like that's kind of where we're over testing and it's causing you to, not really get any results. So if possible, I would try to, for each avatar, right? Because you want to write specific copy and create specific creative for each avatar, or why would we be targeting different people? I would create 2 or 3 copy variations for each avatar, 2 or 3 creative variations for each avatar, and that would give you around 5 to 10 ads for each ad set for all 3 of your campaigns. So you don't have to do it exactly that way, but that's the way I would do it if I were you, and I would still use ABO if you can. And if you're already forced to CBO, then you would need to split this up into separate campaigns like you mentioned here under Q4. But great questions, and thank you so much for being here. He said, I have the ad sets already, Molly. I will post them in the group. Okay, cool. I'm happy to look at them, but let me know if that makes sense or if there's anything that's still unclear. Since you have ABO, you want 3 different campaigns for 1 campaign for each avatar, 5 ad sets for each, and instead of 15 ads in each ad set, I would try to cut that in half if you can. So. Okay, John, I think we.
Cool. Awesome, Molly.
He's still typing.
Let's circle back and do a couple questions from the box, if that's all right. I'll make a note to come back to this for your overflow stuff. We'll keep moving.
Okay.
So Teresa asked, when you just were talking through the Fancy Fit, Fabby Fit, whatever it was, she runs a jewelry store, I believe, and she said if you have lots of products, should you send everyone to one collection as your offer, or what do you think is the best strategy if you have, let's say, 30 products on your site and there's not one in particular that you usually lead with?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how you want to do it. You could lead with your best seller. You could do something like a pre-sale article like Ezra did, where all the focus is around those trio sticks. You can definitely go to a catalog. So if you remember in module 2, I introduced you guys to ODG Apparel, the Christian apparel brand. And one of the examples I showed you was us sending traffic directly to a collection that was one of their best-selling designs, the bear fruit design. But the page was the hoodie, the sweatshirt, the t-shirt, the sticker, you know, just that design and all the different product offerings. So I do like the catalog option, especially for something like jewelry. So if that feels right to you, I would definitely start in that direction. And that's pretty much the butter chicken. You're just driving to a collection instead of a product page. So great question. Excuse me. Sorry, guys.
Cool. Bless you. And then Jason was wondering, is there a specific time of the day that he should be scaling the budget on his campaigns?
So I wouldn't get too caught up in that. If in a perfect world, I try to scale first thing in the morning, just because, like, let's say, you know, let's say like right now, this docuseries that I'm running ads for. This morning, I increased the budget of one of the campaigns from $1,500 to $2,000, and it would have been fine if I did it late at night. But by doing it in the morning, because that's $500 extra that Facebook's going to need to spend than they did yesterday, there's some further optimization involved in that. So for example, if I bumped it up $500 at 10 p.m., they probably won't be able to spend that extra $500 anyways, but Facebook would kind of more so scramble to try to do that. And it would force you to maybe show, Facebook would maybe show your ads to people that they wouldn't have shown otherwise. So in the morning, it gives them pretty much a full day to digest that new budget increase, and it tends to work a little bit better. But if you need to do it at night, do it at night. I tend to do that first thing in the morning. I check all of my accounts and make any adjustments like that that I need first thing when I open my laptop.
Perfect. All right. We are on to our next one from Andrew, and this is about
Andrew.
getting
So
some
he
feedback. it looks
said,
like.
yeah, I'm really grateful, learning so much. Oh, awesome. I'm so glad you're enjoying it, Andrew. Thank you for the positive feedback. John, let's save this one for the overflow, since there's a lot to this. It will allow me to digest it in silence and not make you guys wait.
Sounds good.
So Andrew, I'll get to that one tomorrow, and anything else that isn't answered. Okay, so Marcella, hey. She said, here are some questions for you. I have a skincare company and we are focused on Latin women in the US. That is awesome. We've been running a video ad for around 2 months with great success and social proof. That's fantastic. But in the last week, we received a low quality message from Facebook on our ad. The conversion rate went down around 60%. We are reaching less people than before. I read Facebook's guidelines and it seems that we use exaggerated language on our copy. Facebook didn't give us a reason. We know that this is a powerful video ad. What should I do in this case? Is it possible to make changes to the ads without losing the social proof? Let me see the ad. I don't think I'm going to be able to figure out what it's saying because it's in Spanish, unless she provided another screenshot there. I do love that social proof though. Look, over 1,000 shares. You go, girl. So there are a few things that could have happened here. Well, one thing for sure happened here, and that is that enough people, and Facebook doesn't tell you what enough is, but enough people marked this as spam. So they clicked up on the right hand, those 3 little dots of an ad, and you're able to report an ad and hide it and mark it as spam. All of those negative actions negatively affect us. And if we get too many of those, then you will see this low quality message. So first off, the low quality message doesn't mean that you can't still keep running the ads. So if your ad is still successful in terms of your success metric, keep running it. If it's not, you said your conversion rate went down 60%. I don't know if it's still profitable for you or if this is still good for you. Then obviously we want to figure out why, and first celebrate that this ad works so well and just say, okay, we know we're going to have to build some new ads. We know we're going to have to start from scratch on this social proof, but why do we even think this ad worked? And how do we think we can tone it down a little bit so that it doesn't cause people to want to mark us as spam, or it doesn't cause Facebook to want to come check out our account and mark this as low quality? So once you share that translated text, I should be able to give you a little bit more feedback. It does look like Facebook doesn't love like tons of question marks like you see at the top of your ad copy. Like, you know, K, I'm pretty sure that means what? Just it feels kind of clickbaity. It's not giving any real information to them. It just, I do think this has to do with your copy. Obviously, I can't see your creative unless the video is somehow inappropriate, which it doesn't seem, or unless you're saying something that feels really clickbaity. I would say that the ad copy, the newsfeed text, and that headline below the video are probably the issues here, and what we're going to need to improve moving forward. And hopefully Thursday's training gave you a lot of ideas around that. So so if it's still working for you from a monetary standpoint, keep running it. If it's not, then I do think we're going to need to tone this down a little bit and, you know, appreciate that it worked, but figure out why do we think it worked and how can we still include those elements that work so well without making people feel called out for personal attributes. I would say another part of this is because you're speaking to Latin women, that is a personal attribute. Facebook doesn't like people to be called out by personal attributes. So that could also be part of this too. And especially because you're talking about, you know, their body in some way, because this is skincare. So you said we have 2 versions of this ad running, which currently lead to different product pages. Because they're almost the exact same video with different landing pages, would you recommend sending this video to a different audience to avoid confusion? Okay, I'm going to read that one more time. We have 2 versions of this ad running, which currently lead to different product pages. Because they're almost the exact same video, but with different pages, would you recommend sending this video to a different audience to avoid confusion? So the question that I would ask is, which product page is working better? That's where I would send the traffic to, as long as it's still congruent and there's good AdSense there between the ad and the landing page. I wouldn't worry as much about people seeing an ad and remembering that they clicked to another page and now they're clicking to another page on your site. That's just not something people really remember. So you said you're asking because these 2 videos are being shown to the exact same audience, therefore I'm afraid there might be some confusion when they see a different video and land to a different product page. Yeah, you're overthinking it a bit here, and that's not something I would worry about. It's not something that you need to do forever. If one of the product pages is working better than the other, you can slowly make the transition to making, you know, the winning product page the call to action and all of the ads that are going to lead to this offer. But I don't see a problem at all with you running both of those, especially as long as they're not in the same campaigns as I discussed earlier. Finally, we know the exact zip codes in the US where most of our audiences live. Would you target this demographic through zip codes besides interests? Is this something we should try? So that is really interesting. For what you are doing, I don't know if Facebook's going to let you do that, because you're essentially targeting zip codes based off of, you know, where you know a certain race of people live. I don't know if it's against terms of service, but something tells me it might be a little bit. Let me think on that. I do think it's a good strategy. I would do it, of course, in its own ad set, like treat it like a group of interests that you're testing, just lump all of those zip codes together until you get the appropriate audience size you're looking for. And then if you didn't use all the zip codes, you know, create a new ad set. That's really interesting. I think you'll be able to do that. I really do, especially as long as the ads don't, you know, it's fine to speak to Latin women, but we just don't want people to feel called out by their race, because then the consumer feels, oh, Facebook's selling information about my race to advertisers. I hate Facebook. I'm not going to spend time here, right? So anyways, great questions. Hopefully that's helpful. Let me know if you need any further clarification, but really excited about you on this social proof. And it shows that you really know your audience, you know your market, you know what to say to get them interested. And it sounds like we just need to fine comb this a little bit to make sure that Facebook's happy with it too.
Perfect. All right, the next one I think is actually about Spanish language stuff as well. Yeah, here we go.
Awesome.
So from Felipe.
Hey, Felipe. I have a skincare company and we're focused on Latin women. That's funny. We just had 2 of those back to back. I love it. In the US, all of our ads are in Spanish. Cool. Any suggestion or best practice for reaching our potential customers? As I show in the image below, we have always narrowed down our audience by adding Spanish. Is this a mistake? As you taught us in the previous lesson, we are going to focus on interest-based targeting Latin women. Should we layer this interest-based targeting with the Spanish all language? Okay, really great question. And this is such a good use case of this mentorship. It's like, how does this apply specifically to me? So I would do it exactly how you're doing it here. I would, still do the interest research in the same way that you guys learned in module 3. And then for every one of your ad sets, you're just going to overlay this Spanish all as a language, because you definitely don't want to waste money on people that can't even read Spanish. So just keep in mind, of course, that as soon as you smack that Spanish on there, it's going to lower the audience size significantly, of course, and that's okay. You're just going to probably have to group more interests together than someone who could target people speaking any language that are a part of that interest. So something to keep in mind, but that's exactly what I would do, and thank you for your question.
Perfect. All right, next one is here from Ludovine.
Rockin' and rollin'. All right. Hi, dear. She said, I have a retargeting campaign in CBO with 2 creatives. Excuse me. Sorry, guys. I have a retargeting campaign in CBO with 2 creatives, but one of the creatives doesn't work. I would like to add a new creative. Do I add a new creative and then I get 3, or do I run off the one that doesn't work before? Great question. So since you're using CBO, I actually would leave the ads that you have active on, even though if it doesn't look like it's working perfectly. I would then add this new ad, right, that of course includes your new creative to this particular ad set, and give that 2 to 3 days and see if that new ad starts to get any traction or if it helps with fatigue. If you're still seeing that Facebook's giving reach to that ad that's just not working for you, then you might want to turn it off, but otherwise I would just keep it running. And if that new ad converts better and resonates more with your audience, then it will start to get most of the reach anyways. So really good question, and hopefully that makes sense.
Perfect. All right. Next one here from Brittany.
All righty. Okay. Hey, John, let's save this one for the overflow, because it looks like we got some videos for me to watch and I want to be able to really understand this.
Cool,
But
sounds good. All right, so Diana is back with some.
Woo, we got ad copy. Cool. Sorry, I cut you off. Alrighty, so super excited for tomorrow's call and ad copy feedback. Please see mine below for a headshot photographer. Awesome. John and I have had a few headshots done in our days, so we are definitely your avatar. Okay, I love that you're telling a story through this detailed testimonial. Let's read it. I feel so much more confident in my personal brand because of my new headshot. Love that, Diane. Love that you're coming out with like just a huge end benefit for these people. I incorporate it, and it's not just like best headshot ever, you know. This is about feeling confident and growing your personal brand. There are so many underlying after states that this market's desiring that isn't just a beautiful headshot. So way to hit the nail on the head here. I incorporated them into my digital presence as soon as I got them back from Miguel, and on the same day I booked 2 new sales calls. That is awesome. They turned out to be a rather profitable investment, and I couldn't be happier with how they turned out. Miguel, I love that you're using his name too. It makes me want to, like, who is this guy? Did an amazing job of capturing images that portray confidence, professionalism, and my personality. He immediately made me feel at ease, and I had so much fun throughout the shoot. I'll definitely trust Miguel for all my future needs. Fantastic. The only thing I would say is maybe try to break this paragraph up. Like the Panda Planner examples that I've showed you guys a few times, notice how I broke those paragraphs up so that they're easy to read for people who like to skim and that are intimidated by big paragraphs. So this is number 1, fantastic. I love it. I love how deep this goes into why this person actually likes these headshots other than the headshot. Great use of a very detailed testimonial. Just make it a bit easier for people to read here by breaking this into multiple paragraphs. Check out some of our favorite images from Danziel's shoot. That's a great call to action. and click learn more to book your session. Yeah, this is fantastic. Really good job. Status, being recognized as a leader in your industry doesn't happen overnight, and it certainly doesn't happen when you're using a selfie or cropped photo as your headshot. That's great. It would even be funny to test this with like trying to get that part a little bit further up in the ad copy about using a selfie or crop photo as your headshot, but I still think this is great. Do you want to reinvent the way prospective clients, employers, and connections view you? We can help. Schedule your headshot photo session today for only. I don't think you need to go into the detail of how much it costs here because we're really just trying to get them to hop over to the site. So I would remove that price, but I like this part about new photos to use for your email signature, profile pic, website, business card. Yeah, less than 5 days, get the recognition you deserve. Fantastic. Really, really good job. Just some slight tweaks to that one if you feel like making them, but I still think that would work just as it is now. You're a really great copywriter. Okay, average day. Tired of prospective clients and employers not taking you seriously? So I like that you're coming out with like this question that really hits this pain point. I don't know how many people have that. Like, I don't know how many people would say, oh, I didn't get this client or something because they didn't take me seriously. If that is a real pain point that people have, then definitely this is good. But I don't know, there might be another one, like another hook that we really need to use here. Like, hey, John, could you scroll up just a little bit so I can see that first tell a story? Because I felt, I mean, the hooks that are making me the most interested or are, sort of poking at people that are using a selfie or cropped photo. I also like from this tell a story the idea of, your digital presence and booking 2 new sales calls. So maybe under average day, instead of it being about people not taking you seriously, maybe it's something about like, hey, do you need to book more clients? Like I think that's a deeper hook and a more painful hook than people taking them seriously. So I could be completely overanalyzing it, but I would try something more around helping them, book more sales calls and more at the bottom line versus, sorry guys, versus someone taking you seriously. Do you feel like you spend so much time prospecting with little to nothing to show? Are you ready to fill up your calendar? So I don't love these 3 questions back to back because I very much feel like I'm being sold to, but I love these as hooks. So are you ready to fill up your calendar with serious and qualified prospects that you can serve? That would be a great opening, but I would go directly into you need to make the right first impression and we can help. So I wouldn't have those 3 statements back to back. And I actually think the third one is the strongest. And I think you could just remove those first 2 questions from the top there and go directly into the are you ready to fill up your calendar with serious and qualified prospects? I love that. You need to make the right impression first. We can help schedule your photo session today. So again, I take out the price, have confident professional photos, just see what Danielle said, and then you've got that testimonial. Yeah, that's fantastic. So, and then she says, should I mention the location city so people know it's local? So yes, I would. If you can incorporate that pretty early in the ad copy, maybe as you start to go into your calls to action, like schedule your headshot photo, I think usually is that language that you're using to go into your call to action. I would try to incorporate the city name right around there. But otherwise, these are fantastic. This makes my whole day. I know these will do, I mean, I can't guarantee it, of course, but my gut's telling me these will do really well. And you did a fantastic job. That's very exciting. I can tell you did the before and
Nice.
after grid.
And I wanted to just throw out there, Molly, that obviously the way everybody needs to and wants to use the mentorship can be different. But I think this is, in my opinion, having, helped moderate like 5 of these now, the best possible use of Train My Traffic Person is to get Molly's feedback on things like your ad copy, because she can just run through it. She's looked at, I don't know, 1 million ads, probably not quite that many, but quite a few ads in her day. And so if you guys are like not sure about your copy, or you're feeling stuck, or you have something you think is good, but you just kind of want some thoughts on it, please post that in here, because I really think this is one of the best things you can do, and it's such a huge leverage point for your ads. So.
Yeah, and this is the bread and butter. I mean, this is what sets ads apart that are going to work and aren't going to work. And I just can't emphasize that enough. I can't emphasize how important that is. All right, Mr. Mark, quick question for the group. Anyone in e-com try to capture customer email addresses when they add a product to the cart? So this won't be a good one for me, John. Let's make sure Ez sees this, or maybe even Papine.
Okay, I'll make a note.
Okay, more ad copy. Awesome. Hey, Teresa. She said, I would love ad copy feedback. Here's what I have for my Artsy Annie avatar. Pain benefit. Can't find jewelry that reflects your artsy bohemian style? Want a unique look that isn't like what you see at the big box stores? Looking for something crafted by artisans? So I like this. I think the same applies to you as what I just said to, I believe, Diana. I wouldn't have these 3 questions back to back like this, because they feel like I'm being sold to. Like it just sounds like a commercial. I think that your second hook here about a unique look that you don't see in big box stores, I think that's your strongest one, and I would remove the other 2 or turn them more into statements versus questions, so it feels more conversational. But I like what you're doing here. I've always liked jewelry that has a unique, distinctive, artistic style. I feel like when I wear something that is handcrafted from natural materials, that my outfit stands out, even if I'm wearing a pair of jeans and a plain tee. I really like that little bit. And that could even be an opening of one of your ads, is just starting with, I feel like when I wear something that is handcrafted from natural materials, that my outfit stands out, even if I'm wearing a pair of jeans or a plain tee. Like, that's really interesting. It sounds conversational and people will align with that. And they want to feel the way that you feel when you're wearing this jewelry. So, I go from ho-hum to someone coming up to me, asking me where I got my specific find. Shop nature. So you did a good job here at the beginning, but the transition here into your call to action is rough. We need to refine this, because, you know, you've mentioned jewelry a few times, but I'm not even sure at this point that that's what you're selling. And just saying shop nature reflections, again, it just kind of feels like an ad. So to find jewelry that will help you express your artistic and bohemian flair, everything in nature is nature inspired, and most of our jewelry is handcrafted. Explore the aesthetic that is used. So not terrible. I would just really trying to work on this paragraph. I don't know exactly what it is. It might come to me here in a second, or as we read your other ones, but this paragraph just felt a little sharp to me. If I was a consumer, I would have kept scrolling, because it just really feels like an ad. So let's just try to work on massage is a weird word, but massaging this paragraph. And your first paragraph just needs to be cut down into one question. And I like the second one. I think that it could all be condensed a little bit too. So feel a few weeks from now, when someone comes up to you and asks, where did you get that beautiful piece of jewelry? It is so unique and different. Yeah, I love this one. And obviously you guys know this works. I showed you that on Thursday. So this is great. Of joy that you found something that reflects who you are, someone with a distinct style. Just like art, jewelry is a vehicle to start conversations and connect you with others. That's beautiful writing. You will love wearing our artistic, natural inspired jewelry. Be a walking piece of art. Shop now for our latest finds. That's strong. These last 2 paragraphs here are a much stronger call to action. And you could even just use the just like art and below from this feel ad copy, just use that as your call to action up on the pain benefit. That's really, really good. I love the part about just like art, jewelry is a vehicle to start conversations and connect you with others. You will love wearing our artistic, natural inspired jewelry. Be a walking piece of art. That is definitely going to appeal to Artsy Annie. So that's really strong. And maybe even in one of these variations, if we could try to get that be a walking piece of art, that's a really good tagline. If we could even get that higher in the ad copy a little bit earlier, and even use that as your headline on your ads, I just think that's really strong, and it's going to reach this audience in a big way. Okay, average day. Tired of wearing boring outfits and not getting noticed. So I think with Artsy Annie, that's probably not a pain point. Like if this person is already in tune with art and being creative, they probably don't wear boring outfits. You know, I could be wrong. You probably know this avatar more than I do, but I think you could have a much stronger opening here. A bold necklace or a two-tone silver ring can add intrigue and excitement to your wardrobe. A plain top and pair of pants goes from ho-hum to boho chic. This is why we specialize in handcrafted, unique jewelry that is nature-inspired. Get noticed and take your look to the next level. This one isn't bad. It's my least favorite for sure. I think even going with a different hook, like maybe telling a story would be so valuable here and getting the points across, the hooks that you're really trying to speak to. The third one's my least favorite, but I definitely, Teresa, you've got an amazing starting point here. This is good. So don't feel discouraged at all. And you're doing the work, which is what matters. So just take this feedback and rewrite these, repost them, and I'll give you feedback on the new iterations. But I think we can do away with average day and come up with something a lot stronger that's really going to speak to Artsy Annie, because I don't know if Artsy Annie has trouble wearing boring clothes already, and maybe she does, but cool. Thank you so much for submitting this.
All right, from Johnny Chinchilla.
All right, what an awesome name. So John, I think this is going to be a good one for me to look at on the overflow list, because it seems like we have a lot of interest to look at, which is fun, but won't render the best here on the screen. So I will look over this tomorrow when I've got time blocked off for that. And I'm so glad you enjoyed this. I can see
that sounds
you
good.
really went down the rabbit hole here, Johnny, and I'm pumped to dive in with you. John will be trying to find me tomorrow, and I'll be down an interest rabbit hole with Johnny. Excuse me, guys.
Awesome. So we finished all the ones that we had pulled. Oh, you're okay. I know your voice is still a little sore, which is a good segue. We finished all the ones that we had pulled before this morning, basically. Except for the ones we're adding the overflow. So we can, if you're feeling up to it and your voice is up to it, Molly, do another 2 to 3 ones that have been posted in the group, or I know you have 3 to 4 hours blocked out tomorrow to just go in and knock all these out. Do you think you want to stop now, or do you want to keep going,
Yeah, I think
the
that would be
full
best.
90 minutes? What are you
I'll
feeling?
be able to give you guys more detailed feedback tomorrow when we're not at this place with my voice. So I think this is an awesome stopping point. We got caught up on some of the questions. I love looking over your all's ad copy. And I know that there's still 20 to 30 things in the group that I need to tend to tomorrow. So don't feel like you're not being heard. And most of you guys, for the longer ones, I'll shoot you videos, which was hard at the end of last week without a voice. So I'll shoot you videos. I know we've got feedback on people's sales pages, ad copy, targeting, all types of stuff going on. And I love, we're starting to get to the point in this class where we're getting a little bit of traction in terms of like things are getting done, assets are being built, and we're just 2 weeks away from having all the information that we need to launch the highest converting campaign that we can, and again, whether you're a beginner and this is your first time, or whether you're launching multiple campaigns a day, it's like this information is just as important, whether you're scaling, optimizing, starting from scratch. So we're here to aid wherever you are along the journey. And thank you guys for being awesome. This has been a really fun class so far. And I know the last few weeks have been hectic with me losing my voice and us being in New York and all of that. But yeah, the rest of this class, Sean, I think we're actually travel free, which is very exciting. So thank you guys for being a part of this, and yeah, letting us help you build this skill set. And John, tomorrow I'm on Pacific time right now, so it'll be later in the day, guys. If you're in Europe or Eastern time, it'll be a little bit later in the day. But yeah, I've got a few hours marked off to answer anything we didn't get today. And then just a reminder, this Thursday's training is live at our normal time, 4 p.m. Eastern. And this is all about creatives. So the actual visual element of your ads, the videos, the images, the carousels, and we'll dive deep into that on Thursday, John.
Awesome. And I just wanted to throw out there for everyone that we will get these ad copy formulas from Ezra added to session 5 as well tomorrow
Yeah.
morning. And I know you were planning to shoot kind of an update on ad copy for the current over-the-shoulder brand. So maybe
Yes.
Friday, you think
I'm
that's
gonna do that
potentially
this week.
realistic? Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I'll do
Great.
that for you guys
Awesome.
this week too.
Well,
And I know that I need to shoot the terms of service too. So all that's coming to y'all. Y'all.
great. Awesome. Well,
I've
thank
got
you
my
so much.
Kentucky
Yeah,
on
you're
today.
talking to a Texan, so I can't. No. That's our thing.
I've
Y'all
texted in a
Kentuckians can't claim
Kentucky.
it.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about this offline. Awesome.
All
Thank
right.
you
Thank you all
guys.
so much.
Appreciate you. I'm clapping for some reason. All right. Bye guys. Good hanging out. See ya.